Welcome here, real women of Philadelphia. I'm going to be making a fantastic blueberry cream cheese tart today for week 8 of the Real Women of Philadelphia contest. I'm going to be making this a naturally gluten-free tart. I have a new tart pan that I have to test out. So I'm going to be making my crust using pecans, and then we're going to have a cream cheese layer and a blueberry layer. It'll all come together beautifully. So first we're going to start with the crust. I have 2 cups of pecans that I'm going to put in my food processor. And I'm just going to pulse them until they're about the size of a pea to a lentil. To my pecans, I'm going to add brown sugar. When you measure your brown sugar, you want to pack it. This, I believe, was a half a cup of brown sugar. And I'm also going to add some cinnamon. About a teaspoon. We're just going to pulse that to mix it together again. And now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of melted butter. We're going to add this while this is running so that it comes together nicely and everything gets coated with the butter. I have my tart pan. It's got a removable bottom. And it's a non-stick material. You can oil it if you'd like, but I don't think we'll have any trouble because it's brand new. It's still fairly resistant. I'm going to put my pecan mixture in here. And now you just get your fingers in there and you spread it out so that you have a thin layer of nut meal covering the sides, up the sides as well as the bottom. Alright, my mixture is pressed into my tart pan. Now I'm going to place this on a cookie sheet. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to put this in there for 10 to 12 minutes. You'll know when it's done when it starts getting a little bit of a golden tannish color to it, but you'll also be able to really smell the nuts. While our tart is starting to bake, we are going to start on the blueberries. We are going to mix together sugar, half a cup, and cornstarch. That's going to be our thickener. You want to mix those 2 things together now so that when you add the water, the cornstarch mixes in easier, because if you don't do that, the cornstarch will not want to mix into the water. Not as nicely, it'll be lumpy. So we have our cornstarch and our sugar mixed. Now we are going to add a 1/3 cup of water. We're going to turn the heat on and get that going. We want this to start cooking. We want to get our water and sugar and cornstarch mixture so that it's all dissolved and it's just coming up to a boil. So now that my sugar and water and cornstarch mixture is getting up to a boil, I'm going to add 2 cups of blueberries. I'm going to be using frozen blueberries today. You can use either fresh or frozen. Just stir those in and let it cook until it becomes a nice thick sauce. Stirring constantly, of course, because you don't want it to burn. So now that our blueberry mixture has come to a really nice rolling boil and the sauce has thickened up some, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of almond extract and give that a stir. You want to add your extracts at the end of your cooking time because the extracts will actually boil off really quick and then you'll have no flavor left. So just stir that into your blueberry sauce. We're going to transfer it to another bowl. If you'd like, you could use a bought pie filling, but there's just something about homemade that tastes better and looks better and makes you feel better. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in the fridge to let this cool off. Our tart shell is just about done. When that comes out, I'm going to take that out of the stove. In about 2 minutes time, I'm going to take it out and I will set that aside for that to cool as well. So now we're finally on to the Philly part of this recipe. I have 8 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese, softened to room temperature. You can either take it out like an hour or so before you want to use it, or you can actually pop it in the microwave for a couple seconds and it'll get it nice and soft for you so that it's easy to work with. To this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of white sugar. This is a tablespoon of Dream Whip. It's available in your, this is the powdered Dream Whip. It's available in your baking aisle, as well as some heavy whipping cream and the juice of 1 small lemon. I'm just going to give it a little roll here, get the juices going. Make sure you don't get any seeds in there. So we're going to use our hand mixer and mix this all together until it's really smooth and creamy. And then we're just going to set it aside until our crust has cooled down and our blueberry sauce has cooled down. So there we go, we have our nice, smooth, creamy mixture. That's going to be our cream cheese filling in our blueberry and cream cheese tart. The lemon juice just really goes really well with the cream cheese. They just complement each other well, and it'll also help to bring out the flavor of the blueberries. Blueberry and lemon go together wonderfully. So we're just going to set this aside now and wait for the other things to cool down, and then we'll assemble it. So our tart shell is cooled. I had it in the fridge for a couple minutes. It's now cooled to the touch. I'm going to take and leave it in the tart pan while I carefully spread the cream cheese layer in there. So just carefully press this down, push this up to the outside so you want kind of an even layer of cream cheese. We're now going to take our blueberry mixture, which is still pretty runny. It will, when you cut your tart, it will run out. It's not quite thick enough yet to hold its shape. You could always double the amount of cornstarch if you wanted it to set up a little quicker. But I'm going to pour it in here, and then we're going to pop it in the fridge again for a little while. We're also going to take some toasted coconut and toasted almonds, put those on top, about 2 tablespoons of each, a little bit of a crunchy topping on there. And I also have about 2 tablespoons of melted white chocolate. I'm just going to cut a small tip off the end of the bag. I have it in a resealable plastic bag. We're just going to zigzag this across. Now we're going to pop this back in the fridge for another 30 minutes or so, and then we'll take it out and plate it. So here's our tart with our pecan crust, our cream cheese layer, and our homemade blueberry sauce. Now, I guess maybe homemade isn't always the best, as I did have some of my filling leak out the top of my tart crust. But I know it's still going to taste great. We're just going to cut it up and plate it now. The blueberries are still a little bit on the runny side. As you can see, it held up nicely though. There's our cream cheese layer, our blueberry layer, our pecan crust. Even though the homemade blueberry sauce is still a little bit runny, it didn't set up quite as much within the time frame that we had. I know it's still going to taste fantastic, and it's actually not running as much as I thought it might. So now comes the best part, spoiling your supper by tasting your desserts. And just you wait. That cream cheese layer that's in there is light and really, really good. It doesn't taste like a heavy dessert at all. Make sure you guys give this one a try. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by again.